Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
Some big breaking news now. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, just dropped a bombshell resignation effective June 30th, and the timing could not be more explosive. She's stepping down to care for her husband after his aggressive bone cancer diagnosis, so our prayers are with Tulsi Gabbard and her family in this critical time. But sources close to the story reveal that she plans to drop multiple high-profile investigation results before she walks out the door. Now, this comes as fresh allegations surface that elements inside the CIA were actively spying on her own team, and the stakes extend far beyond one person's departure. Is this the moment that the intelligence community turns on itself in full public view? That's the question. You see, the Director of National Intelligence oversees every major agency protecting national security. When that office faces internal surveillance and obstruction during probes into Havana Syndrome, COVID origins, the 2020 election, and even assassinations, the entire republic feels the impact. Millions of citizens have watched unelected officials operate without accountability for years. And now senators and whistleblowers are confirming that Gabbard's Directors Initiative group face keystroke monitoring and blocked access to critical files. This is not abstract bureaucracy. It is a direct challenge to elected leadership and the voters who chose a different direction. The American people deserve to know whether their intelligence apparatus protects the nation or protects itself. Now, before we dive deeper into these national security developments, breaking news just emerged on America's critical minerals supply chain. The SAGA metal story that we have been covering here for weeks has just got stronger. In less than 48 hours ago, SAGA released new information suggesting that its radar project may be sitting on one of the largest titanium vanadium systems on the entire planet. Now, SAGA trades as SAGMF. Write that down. It's on your screen. SAGMF in the United States and SAGA in Canada. Now, to understand the scale, you need to compare radar project of SAGA to China's Panzinhua deposit. The state-linked system is valued in the multi-billion-dollar range. It's also responsible for over 40% of global vanadium output. Make sure you check out the in-depth interview with the CEO on this topic that I did just last weekend. This breakthrough strengthens domestic supply chains that are vital for defense and technology. Also check the exclusive briefing. It is linked below, but it's only for Next News viewers. Now back to the unfolding intelligence battle inside our own government. While the personal reasons for Tulsi Gabbard's exit command respect, new reporting shows she intends to release explosive findings on weaponization, the 2020 election, and even more before June 30th. At the same time, Senator Rand Paul highlighting how the CIA appears to have targeted her investigators. This combination changes the entire narrative around her departure. So this is the news as it was breaking. She reveals her husband's been diagnosed with bone cancer and she is resigning to be by his side. Of course, we are all praying for Tulsi Gabbard and her husband at this time. Here's the news as it broke.
On to this breaking news now. Fox News has just learned Tulsi Gabbard is resigning from her post as Director of National Intelligence. All right, let's get right to David Spunt. He's got the news for us. David?
Well, Sandra, we are told that Tulsi Gabbard is resigning effective June 30th because of her husband's recent diagnosis of an aggressive form of bone cancer. Our thoughts, of course, are with Ms. Gabbard and her family, Director Gabbard and her husband, Abraham. She said that Abraham has been her rock since they've been married, and she submitted her resignation letter to the president and two members of the senior staff, announcing that her last day would be June 30th because of this diagnosis of her husband's bone cancer. Unfortunately, this is something that Gabbard says that she cannot continue to manage doing two jobs at that time. So she will continue serving in the role of the Director of National Intelligence, overseeing the CIA, National Security Council, other agencies, but will leave June 30th because of this tragic news of her husband's bone cancer diagnosis. Sandra and John, as she helps him fight that over the coming months.
Now, what is interesting about the timing of this is that we do know that several weeks ago there were rumblings that Trump was going to fire her. Now, I'm not saying that her story is a cover story. I would never accuse her of that, but I think that it is curious that we heard rumblings of her departure several weeks back. And now this is coming to light. So she's stepping down June 30th to care for her husband. President Trump posting this to Truth Social. He had this to say, unfortunately, after having done a great job, Tulsi Gabbard will be leaving the administration on June 30th. Her wonderful husband, Abraham, has been recently diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer, and she rightfully wants to be with him, bringing him back to good health as they currently fight a tough battle together. I have no doubt he will soon be better than ever. Tulsi has done an incredible job, and we will miss her. Her highly respected Principal Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Aaron Lucas, will serve as Acting Director of National Intelligence, President Donald J. Trump. So the official announcement here is the letter that she did post. We'll see if we can bring it up a little bit closer for you. She says she's grateful for the trust that she's been entrusted with and the opportunity to lead the nation. In the office, unfortunately, she has to submit her resignation because of her husband diagnosed with extremely rare form of bone cancer. So she is talking about the progress that she's made, advancing unprecedented transparency, restoring integrity to the intelligence community. There's still important work to be done. So she will ensure a smooth transition in the interim. So while supporters praise her record, Adam Schiff is already attacking her departure. He says, "My thoughts go out to Tulsi Gabbard and her family as her husband battles this serious health problem. I hope and pray he makes a full and speedy recovery. With the circumstances around her departure, while the circumstances around her departure are deserving of our sympathy, let's be clear, Tulsi Gabbard's only positive contribution to our nation's national security is her resignation." Disgusting. She politicized intelligence. That's rich coming from Adam Schiff. She dismantled critical agencies keeping America safe. Okay, coming from the same party who defunded DHS, right? She weaponized the ISC to pursue baseless election fraud claims. Unbelievable projection here. Unbelievable projection from Adam Schiff. We must ensure that her tenure, marked by a devotion to the person of the president and not the security of the country, represents a terrible exception at DNI and not the new normal. Unbelievable. Disgusting. So we're finding out from Mary Margaret Olahan that Tulsi plans to release findings of a number of high-profile investigations before she departs, including Havana Syndrome, COVID weaponization, 2020 election, and more. Rand Paul, reacting to Catherine Herridge's reporting and the CIA whistleblower testimony, the CIA appears to be illegally spying on Gabbard's team, interfering with investigations on COVID cover-up, JFK, MLK, RFK assassinations, UAPs, etc. We've got to get to the bottom of what they are hiding. So Catherine Herridge detailed in a very lengthy article here on X. She says, based on my reporting, it was well known in national security circles that CIA investigative unit had sent emails to several members of DNI initiative group demanding they come in for questioning. While the CIA unit routinely conducts polygraphs and investigations, the timing of the request was concerning. It did not appear to be part of standard security clearance. The alleged CIA monitoring of the Directors Initiatives Group was described as tracking every keystroke in their government computers and devices. While there's no expectation of privacy on government computers and users obviously a logon warning, it did not appear to be routine counterintelligence work by the CIA. In recent testimony before the Senate Homeland Security Government Affairs Committee, chaired by Senator Rand Paul, CIA Senior Operations Officer whistleblower James Erdman III alleged the CIA illegally spied on the computers and phones of the Directors Initiatives Group, along with her investigations and contacts with whistleblowers. DIJ investigations did investigate JFK, RFK, MLK assassination, origins of COVID, Crossfire Hurricane, Biden administration's domestic surveillance, anomalous health incidents, AHI, and unidentified aerial phenomena. Erdman provided detailed testimony about the DIG's investigation into directed energy attacks, also known as Havana Syndrome, are anomalous health incidents. So this is not the first time the CIA appears to have been monitoring DIG communications. Individuals involved in our AHI investigation discovered third parties were listening in on secure phone calls at intelligence community facilities, in one instance during conversation with a whistleblower. So clearly we're learning now that there was monitoring of her office. Senator Rand Paul. So the intel community is spying on itself. This is how perverse the government really is. I mean, that says it in a nutshell. And here we have Svetlana Lakava. Tulsi Gabbard rightly called the plot against President Trump a treasonous conspiracy. That's because Obama and Brennan used a foreign country, England, to launch their conspiracy against President Trump. Let's not forget what Tulsi Gabbard has already revealed.
Something you actually told me, Lara, and I never thought about it that way, is that Tulsi Gabbard specifically called it treasonous conspiracy. And, you know, the word treason gets like thrown around quite a lot. So people sort of used to saying that. What does that actually mean? And you that explained to me that involves foreigners.
Correct.
So sedition is when you conspire, a bunch of people conspire, right, to overthrow the government.
Citizen.
But
yes.
treason is when also those Americans conspire with people outside America, outside the United States. And that's where, you know, once we go later through the documents, that's where it becomes very interesting, because John Brennan, the CIA director, and other people involved, which we'll come back to, Peter Strzok and others, they all work with the United Kingdom, with British intelligence, and also Australians and other countries.
Yes.
And that's why Tulsi is very specific when she says, Director Gabbard so specific when she says there was a treasonous conspiracy, because not only they were overthrowing the government, but they were doing it with help of foreigners, other people, other countries.
Exactly. Yep, that's exactly what happened.
So Tulsi Gabbard, clearly a threat to the deep state. Now, of course, she's stepping down. She will be gone from her office on the 30th. But Svetlana Lakova makes it a point that both Obama and Brennan flew to London the moment the grand jury in Florida was announced. That's because they launched Russiagate from London, England. Gina Haspel was a CIA station chief in London. British operative Christopher Steele and CIA operative Stephen Halper operated out of London, and Peter Strzok also traveling to London. So the treasonous conspiracy, one of the main elements of Tulsi Gabbard's tenure as DNI, exposing that. So the core allegation is extraordinary. Gabbard's team facing internal surveillance while probing the most sensitive files in modern intelligence history. If whistleblowers are correct, compartmented information was withheld and investigations obstructed. This leaves one overriding question: who actually holds oversight when parts of the intelligence community monitor themselves and elected officials? That reality now sits in plain sight for every American to confront. Tulsi Gabbard's resignation marks not an ending, but the public explosion of a long-simmering fight over who really controls America's intelligence tools. Her planned releases could still deliver critical transparency before she departs. And the contrast between her service and attacks from figures like Adam Schiff show exactly why voters demanded change. So share this report with everybody who needs to see the full picture, and drop your answer in the comments to this yes or no question. Do you believe the intelligence community requires major reform? And if you haven't done so, make sure you join the thousands of patriots who've already texted that number on the screen, 844-840-4963, to bypass the algorithm suppression of our work and get direct updates from me right to your phone. And check out the Next News merch shelf. Celebrate America 250 with us. The fight for accountability, it belongs to every citizen who refuses to accept secret power structures.
The system controls information. Information control is power. I want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.